Hi, before we went into lockdown we were doing electrolysis and I'd just like to get that topic finished, which means we've got one more lesson to do on it. But before we get started with that, I know that some of you may need a recap. So here what I've drawn is very simply our electrolysis setup. So we've got a positive electrode and a negative electrode. This is in a container or a beaker. And then we have our solution, but remember our solution has a fancy name of an electrolyte. Okay, so in our electrolyte we have got ions, because this only happens with ionic compounds. So we have positive ions and negative ions. And remember that these will go to certain electrodes. So where does the positive ion go to? It goes to the negative electrode because opposites attract. And the negative ion will go to the positive electrode, again because opposites attract. Then what we're going to look at is how to do our half equations, just to get those back into our head. So here what we've got is we've got sodium plus ions going to this sodium atom. When we have a plus charge, we need to add electrons. And in this case, this is a +1 charge, so we're just going to add 1 electron. If we have magnesium +2 ion going to a magnesium atom, we need to add, because that is the charge here, we need to add 2 electrons because this has a +2 charge. And aluminium +3 going to aluminium atom. We're adding because that is the sign on the charge. And we need to do this with 3 electrons. A slightly harder one is for hydrogen, so I'll just show you that one now. And then we'll go on to negative ions. So our hydrogen, a little bit harder now. We have a H+ ion going to hydrogen, which is a diatomic molecule. So that's H2. So the first thing you need to do is balance your H's. So here we have 1 hydrogen and here we have 2. So to balance this, we need to put a big 2 in front of our H+. Then we look at what we're doing with our electrons. This is a plus, so we're adding our electrons. This is a +1, but we've now got 2 of them, so overall it would be a +2. So we're going to add 2 electrons. Now looking at negative ions. Here we've got, if you have Cl- going to the chlorine molecule, that is a diatomic molecule, so first you need to balance it. We've got 1 Cl- here and 2 Cl's here, so we need to put a big 2 in front of this. Then we look at our sign here, that tells us what we're doing with our electrons, so here we're going to take away electrons. This is a -1, we've got 2 lots of it, so it would be -2 electrons. That's the same for anything in group 7, so if we did it for Br, which is in group 7, it's Br- going to Br2. We need to balance it by putting a big 2 in front of there. We look at our sign, that's minus our electrons, and then we have 2 of them. The slightly harder one for this is if we have an oxide, which is a 2-, and that goes to oxygen, which is O2. We need to balance it because we've got 1 oxygen on this side and 2 on this side, so we stick a big 2 in front of there. We've got a minus, so we're going to take away our electrons. Here we've got -2 electrons, but we've got 2 lots of that, so this one would have 4 electrons in total. That is a very quick recap of what we did before lockdown.